Ladies and gentlemen, Double Take Sports Talk with the Watts Brothers, with your hosts, Daryl and Darren, starts now. All right, so here we go. What does this series mean to me and Daryl? Just this series alone, not the Red Sox and the Yankees, not any other rivalry, not the White Sox and the Royals, not none of that. What does the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs series mean to both me and Daryl? There's a lot. To be honest, there's a lot. There is a lot. Daryl, let's start with you. What did this series mean to you?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, because compared to me and you, Darren, we've been fans of our respective teams for over 20 years. So it'd be 21 to be exact.
Yep.
We have been fans of the Cubs and the Cardinals respectively since 1998.
Okay.
And it started with Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire.
McGwire.
When Sammy Sosa was four home runs away from tying Mark McGwire for the season.
Yeah.
And then 5 for breaking it.
Yeah.
And
home run records is what he's talking about.
yeah, just for the season. Was that a record for Mark McGwire?
That was a single season home run record.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, that right there is what sparked me and Darren's interest was the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. It wasn't like you said, it wasn't the Yankees and the Red Sox, it wasn't the White Sox and the Royals. It wasn't none of them. Yeah. It was the Cardinals. And ever since then, Darren, we have been each other's throats about this rivalry. It's special to us because of what the Cubs and the Cardinals can bring to the NL, and how they could represent the NL Central versus any other team in the whole league itself.
Yep.
It's special. It's special.
Very much so.
It's special.
Very special. Here's what set me off. Here, and this is my whole story. This is when you think about it. This is how I look at the interpretation of the St. Louis Cardinals and Chicago Cubs and what this series means to me. What this series means to me is when you have a team like the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs, they make me think of the NBA's 1998 Chicago Bulls and the Indiana Pacers.
Right.
I say that because both those teams match up well. It's no different with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. There's no difference. Both of these teams match up well. Dating back to 1998 when there was that home run race with Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire is what triggered me and Durham to get into that series. Not only get into that series, but get into the teams.
Yep.
After Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa went their different ways, we still were a fan of both teams. Me and Dura was down each other's throats. And here's the main reason why me and Dura was down each other's throats. The real reason. The last time the Chicago Cubs had won the World Series prior to that 1998 was 1908. The last time the St. Louis Cardinals won the World Series was back in 1985. It was the last time they won a World Series.
Yep.
So me and Dura was back and forth. We're going to win the World Series first. We're going to win the World Series first. Back and forth with each other. The St. Louis Cardinals unexpectedly came out of nowhere and won the 2006 World Series. Then behind that, kind of died down a little bit. Actually, it died down a whole lot. 2011, the St. Louis Cardinals won again. 2016, finally, the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. It means so much to me and Daryl. Both our teams finally have won something, won a World Series since 1985 and 1908. They have overcome that drought, especially the Cubs. In 2016, you bet your behind. Both me and Daryl was rooting for the Chicago Cubs. I did not care about the St. Louis Cardinals after they had got put out. I don't even think they even made the pennant that year. I don't even think they even. I don't even think they was in the NL race at that time. The Cubs came in and showed their butt. Literally mooned everybody. Showed their butt.
Oh yeah, they
2016.
Did. And then
It's nothing. I'm sorry, and I'm a Cardinals fan, but I'm sorry. I gotta say this. A lot of Cardinals fans are gonna be mad at me, but if you understand me and Daryl's relationship, if you understand what it meant when the Chicago Cubs won that World Series, if you have empathy for both sides, when the Cubs won in 2016, it took away everything from when the Cardinals won in 2011.
Yes, it did, dear.
It took everything away. That night, we still have that podcast. We had a podcast 2 years ago when the Cubs won the World Series. Daryl getting phone calls left and right.
I was crying.
Based upon that's a World Series win. I'm sitting here in this podcast. We're trying to get it started. He's getting phone calls. I didn't even get phone calls for the St. Louis Cardinals won to I didn't get jack crap. Nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
So when you have the 2016 Chicago Cubs, Daryl got the whole series. Me and Daryl plan on moving back in together and getting things together. I'm going to tell you right now.
We're going to watch that.
Back down and rewatch that series again.
We're going to watch it.
I love that in particular year and what the Cubs did that year because they was hungry for a World Series championship win. This series, especially now that the Cubs has won, this series means so much to me because of the World Series championship wins.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the bitter rivalry that me and Daryl have against each other. Not only that, but there's local people here that are mixed about who to go for. Some go for the Cubs. Some go for the White Sox. Some go for the Royals. Some go to the Cardinals. I mean, locally here, it's a mixture of a little bit, mainly more Cubs fans than any other fans.
Absolutely.
I mean, it means so much because you got Indiana right on the side of St. Louis and Chicago. So it means a lot. This series just really it's a good, healthy rivalry. It's not a Yankees Sox rivalry.
Or it is not what everybody would think it would be, Auburn and Alabama.
Right.
It ain't nothing like that.
Right, because at the end of the day, we're still talking. It's just like today with this loss with the Cardinals. Hurts my feelings they got shut out like that.
Yeah.
Hurts my feelings. But at the end of the day, one, it's just a game. And two, this series still means a lot to me and Daryl. Can't jeopardize our relationship, but we still have a relationship with the Cubs and the Cardinals series along with our brotherly relationship. So having that means so very much to both me and Daryl dating back to 1998. We always used to play the video game. It was always the St. Louis Cardinals versus Chicago Cubs. Daryl had his moments. I had mine. To this day, if we still play Major League Baseball games, do you not think it's going to be another team? No, it's going to be the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs.
Regardless to how they played, regardless to what their record was, regardless to what their bullpen was, regardless.
Regardless to their attributes, regardless to their ratings.
Yep, regardless.
St. Louis Cardinals for the Chicago Cubs. 2K5.
2K5. Yeah.
2K5. That's all it was. St. Louis Cardinals and Chicago Cubs. That's all it was.
That's all it was.
That's all it was.
Regular season. Chicago Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals. If we're playing together, Chicago Cubs, St. Louis Cardinals.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Emotions run high.
Yeah. Me and Duro in Triple Play 2000 with the PlayStation. Duro had his better moments than me in Triple Play 2000. 2K5, we both had our moments. But if it was
it was mainly you. I couldn't beat you. Mm-hmm. I couldn't beat you.
2000.
You had
too many people. You had Albert Pujols, David Eckstein, Jim Edmonds,
Scott Rowland,
Golden Glove,
Larry Walker,
Edgar Renteria.
Yeah.
And then you had your pitching rotation of Mark Boulder and Chris Carpenter and Mark Boulder.
I've kind of forgotten my rotation. So yeah, it's been a while.
I know one of your pitching rotations was Greg Maddux and Kerry Woods.
Oh, and that Jerome dude. I forgot that garbage dude's name.
Oh, yeah. He absolutely refused to put him in that series.
I did. He's garbage.
Yeah. There's so much to this series.
Yeah.
It dragged on from 1998 up until now. And it still drags on.
Yes, it does.
We intentionally set this day for this podcast because of the Cubs and Cardinals.
Absolutely.
We intentionally set this day.
Yep.
Because it's the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. Home field advantage goes to Chicago. Matter of fact, let's see who has the real home field advantage when you think about it. Who has the real home field advantage? Is it the Chicago Cubs or is it the St. Louis Cardinals? Let's take a deep, deep look.
Who can really tell by this, you know? Who can really tell? Because it was just...
Well, here's the thing. What happened? I can't even pull it up anymore. I used to have the... Oh, here we go. So, of course, today, 3-game series. The end of the month, 3-game series. June 7th, 3-game series. Late in July, 3-game series. Bam. The St. Louis Cardinals, starting September 19th, 4-game series.
They're really trying to rank the Cubs of the series, boy.
Wrong. You know better. And here's why you know better. The Cubs can come and tie that damn series. Stop it. Stop it.
I really can't say nothing. No. I can't say a word.
Because you sit here now, you look at it, the Cubs got home field first. And then St. Louis got it. Then it goes right back to the Cubs right at the end of the week. So right after they play, right after this series, they play at the end of the month. They play at the end of the month, and bam. Right at the, where'd they go? Right at the end of the month. June. What did I say, June? Sorry. That's my fault. Oh, no, that's right. Yep, May. Bam. Chicago Cubs. St. Louis Cardinals. At home in St. Louis. June 7th. Wrigley Field. Right off the bat.
Wow.
End of the week. They don't play, and then they don't play again until July 30th. And that's a 3 game.
Ain't that right before the break? Or was that already after the break?
After. That's after the break.
Okay.
They only played twice before. Afterwards, they played July 30th. That's going to be in St. Louis. And that's a 3-game series on weekdays.
Ouch.
And then the last 2, St. Louis at home for a 4-game. And then at the end of that week, 3. No, I'm sorry. It's the Chicago Cubs that got home field for that 4-game series, not St. Louis.
Okay, good. So they're still going to get raped. So. You thought I was going to say something good, didn't you?
And then the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals play at the end of that month, September, going into the playoff series. St. Louis will have the home field. I'm going to let that one go.
That's okay. That's okay.
You got anything else you want to add?
Absolutely not.
All right. That's what this series means. This is what this series means to me and Durham. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs.